That would be like Did you take them off? Oh, good for you.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, you guys are live.
Welcome to a special live edition of the Curly Hair Q&A Mondays with Melanie show. I am your host, Ken Nichols, and I am here with Melanie Nichols. She is the founder of the Raw Hair Organic Salon in beautiful Naples, Florida. It's one of the top curly hair salons in the country, and Melanie is one of the top curl experts anywhere in the world. She is also the founder of the Raw Curls brand of natural and organic curly hair products. And this is episode 110, and it is one of our very first live Q&As. So if you got your questions in earlier this week in any of the groups or any of our video platforms, we will be going through them tonight as well. And if you are watching live on the Curly Hair Q&A YouTube channel or in the Curly Girls support group on Facebook, I will be taking questions from there, and we'll try to get as many as we can in as possible tonight. So first of all, I want to go through a couple of quick announcements. If you're not aware and you're watching on video tonight, we also are a podcast, and you can use your smart speaker and you can search it as play the Curly Hair Q&A Mondays with Melanie show, and you can find that on Google Play Music, Spotify, Stitcher. Rhett, help me out, my producer, Rhett.
Anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
Anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
Apple or Android.
Apple or Android, yes. So we are pretty much everywhere. And we are in the top 50% of all podcasts broadcast worldwide. And we just won an award as one of the top 10 hair podcasts for 2019 that you must listen to and subscribe to, which is really, really cool. So there you can find us tomorrow morning after 5:30 a.m. Eastern time. And also the other thing that I wanted to let you guys know about, if you're not aware of our contest that's going on right now, biggest contest of the year, just like it was last year, biggest contest of the year in the curly hair market, and that is the Raw Curls Day of Curls giveaway number 2. And Rhett will, if you're watching this live, Rhett will post this in the comment section, whatever platform you're watching this on, where you can sign up and nominate someone that you know that could use a curly hair makeover. And the Day of Curls giveaway is an all expense paid trip to the Raw Hair Organic Salon in beautiful Naples, Florida. And curl expert Melanie Nichols and her team of curl specialists will give you a day of curl pampering start to finish. And it's, like I said, it's all expense paid. We'll fly you in. I pick you up at the airport, you get your curls done, and we fly you back same day. So we did it last year. Our winner last year was Melanie... Misty Richmond.
I always want to say Christy.
Yes, Misty Richmond from Toledo, Ohio, and we filmed it, and we will be filming you if you're the winner or whoever you nominate. But we're doing it kind of like this year. We're doing it a little bit different. We're doing it like the old What Not to Wear show used to be,
so fun.
where people nominate somebody who really needs it, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, just don't nominate a hairdresser. Remember when we were trying to find models for my class, and Ken went up to a hairdresser and asked if she wanted to be a model for a curly hair cutting class. Oops.
I literally said it. Yeah, I literally said it. And as I looked over her and her friend's shoulder, it all clicked because they were both dressed. It was middle of the day. They were both dressed in black head to toe, and the Ouidad salon was right behind them. And I'm like, oh, they're walking to lunch.
I don't know. I don't
yeah,
think
that
that's,
was. I think that was it. I was at Whole Foods.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But that was funny.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I do that kind of stuff occasionally, but that's me. So anyway, Rhett will have the link in there, so make sure you sign up, nominate someone, because it's a really, really cool deal. So, all right, let's get started.
sure.
Melanie, do you have a fun fact for us today as our weekly
I
fun
do. I actually, I think we should start with that, because once we get into our guests for today, we're not going to want to take our focus off of that person or people, those people. So we've got two guests, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So, okay, so yeah, my fun fact is about you, actually.
Oh boy,
We were talking.
it's not all true. It lies. I'm telling you.
We were talking about hand-me-downs in the salon. I think Terry was talking about, and I said, with my upbringing and Ken's upbringing, we grew up with, no money, very poor families, and we both, had a lot of hand-me-downs. But the problem was Ken's hand-me-downs were from his sister. He had an older sister, so. Didn't you get like a pink Huffy or something?
It wasn't pink, but I rode a girl's bike. That was my first bike. I rode a girl's bike for years, into my double-digit years.
Are you scarred?
Made me awful tough, let me tell you.
You were tough riding that girl's bike?
I'm tough, you bet. You better be. You're going to ride a girl's bike. That's not the best story of hand-me-downs, though.
What is it?
Okay, so like Melanie said, we didn't have any money. So one time when I was about 9 or 10, Kmart had a sale in the spring on shorts. And like athletic shorts. This has been like mid 1970s maybe. So the girls' shorts were on sale. They were cheap. So my mom bought a bunch of them and said, just wear them.
You had to wear girls' shorts?
Yeah, obviously not realizing that they're cut a little different for a guy and a girl.
You were a kid. How different can it be?
Yeah, and if you think about years later how things turned out, makes you wonder why, huh? Yeah, I was.
That would explain a lot.
That would explain a lot. I was pinched for an entire summer. Stop complaining. I can remember, like to this day. I'm like, Mom, these are killing me.
Mom,
all right,
that's enough.
That's enough fun fact. I got my headgear on. Yeah, that's enough fun facts because they always seem to point my direction. Can we move on?
Yes.
Okay, good, because that wasn't a fun fact.
It was fun for us.
All right. Okay, we have two special guests on today, and I'm going to introduce the first one.
Very special.
Yes, very special, and I'm going to let the first guest, when she would like to, introduce the second guest. But there's some people in this world who can be introduced by one name and you know who they are, like Sting and Madonna, and who's another one named? You think of any other one named people? Sting, Madonna. Those are kind of the big ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sting and Madonna. Well, we've got another one of those people on today, and it is the Queen of Curls.
Whoa.
Founder of the Ouidad product line. Ouidad. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Good. How are you? It's good to be with you, Tim.
Welcome.
Really glad that you came on tonight, and it's special. And I really for probably the last week that I started to announce in the group and in the online world about who was going to be on, and telling everybody that it was going to be live Q&A, that you could actually speak to you. And that's something, and I know you guys have been watching, and that's something that we really tried to do when we created this show, was to be able to bring on people that that I believe in the curly world, that curly girls in general, would really like to talk to, or would really need to talk to. I mean, there's so much misinformation. Yeah, the internet in general is a great source of information, but it's also a great source of misinformation. And we saw that, Melanie and I saw that, and that's really the reason that we started this and moved forward with it, and started bringing on people like you to be able to kind of squash a lot of myths and really give out really good solid curl knowledge.
Well, professional information was needed, and what really inspired me to take the time to away from my schedule to do this was the famous video that was posted by that young girl who burned her hair off that was trying to give a tutorial. I mean, to me it was hilarious. I'm sure she was traumatized, but and I just thought, my God, all these unprofessionals are giving information, and the professionals aren't taking time to put our knowledge out there. So that's when it really got started.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of people saw it, and you guys saw it too. So thank you very, very, very much. We really do appreciate it, and everybody else does. And they gave us a lot of really good questions. So Ouidad, what I'd really like to do is start with is I know quite a bit about your background. Oh yeah, I should say this, and I've tried to do this in pretty much every episode. There's a common misconception, I think, with consumers in the curly hair world that everybody who's either a curl specialist or a curly brand, that we all hate each other. And we want to kill and destroy each other. And I always try to make it clear with everybody that it's actually not the case, that we know each other, and that we are friendly, and that we are trying to spread curl love and curl knowledge, and we don't all hate each other.
You're absolutely correct. And it's I want to add to this. It is so important that we all support each other. As I mentioned to you earlier, first of all, I want to introduce the young lady with me, who happens to be, her name is Sondriel. Sondriel is my daughter, and she is the second generation of Ouidad and the curl experts. Curly hair has been, obviously, is in her DNA, and for the past 10 years, she has been on her own, creating and building her business and expanding and educating in curls. And she is here in Fort Lauderdale. And you can reach her at sondriel.com. Her spelling is SONDRIEL.com.
Yeah, Red will put it in the comment sections too. And yes, we know her. We met her at the cocktail party that you guys all invited us to last. Was that last fall? I think it was.
Yes.
Which was lovely. So yes, we met her. We've met, and we know who she is. So congratulations, Ouidad. For people who don't know, give us your background about how you started and how this whole brand and how your whole system and how it all came about, and then Melanie will give you some questions, and we'll kind of grow the conversation from there.
Yeah, well, that was one of my questions. When, why, how, did you get started? Because you are truly the person who started this whole curl movement, if I'm not correct.
Yes, I will tell you exactly. It started back on April 21st, 1984.
Wow.
I came to the U.S. and started working on Broadway and the fashion industry, doing hair and makeup. And I was in my mid-teens at the time, towards my late teens. And I got tagged as the curly girl, where everybody would throw their curly wigs at me if we were doing shows on Broadway, if we were doing shoots. And I have many, many wonderful stories working on celebrities who I had no idea who they were. I could barely speak English, but I had to go and fix their curls and work with their curls. And when I met my husband, Peter, we flipped a coin, and this is a really true story. And if you read anything in the media, you would read everything about why we started this business. He is as driven as I am. I come with a really big, huge curly hair. My hair is half of the amount that it used to be. And being a curly person from the Middle East, where all the Mediterranean, whether you're Greek or Italian or Israeli, any culture, anything you can think of, and there are more curly-haired people in the world than there are straight hair. But coming from that part of the world, curly hair was natural to me. It's just very natural, and to come and blend in and try to blend in this country. And back then, everybody was either highlighted blonde, looking at my daughter here, Sondriel, or bleach blonde, or whatever. They were all blonde. The hair was straight, and I stuck out like a sore thumb. When Peter and I met and we decided to open a business, we decided that he was successful in the restaurant world, myself in the the curly world. And as a hairdresser, we flipped a coin and we committed to each other. Whatever it turns out to be, we'll support each other. Head salon, tails restaurant. And then we flipped it and it was heads. And I lost it. I was screaming and celebrating to stop for a minute and look at his poor face looking at me. He said, all right, I'll support you 100%. And
I was just going to ask that, if he was supportive of that.
He was incredibly supportive. But wait till you hear his part of it. It's amazing is that what we did was we committed, we're going to go in and we're going to open a business for curly hair. So here we are. Let's back up 36 years ago, New York City, trying to get banks to give us loan. We went in there with these brilliant ideas with this business plan, this fantastic idea about curly hair. There are more people with curly hair. Nobody's doing curly hair. And I'm so excited. And we're yakking and telling them all this thing. And they're sitting there and as like deer in the headlights looking at us. And after our energy and our excitement stopped, one of them actually said, are you kidding me? This is a joke. You might as well just burn the money we're going to give you. I'm sorry, we cannot fund that. And that was repetitive, one after another. Fast forward, we were able to beg and borrow, almost steal. Friends gave us some money, and President Reagan at the time had just passed the law saying that if with the SBA to give loans to females and to immigrant people at the time, and I forgot what the program was called, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the real title of it, but how fabulous. Here I am. Female.
Timing.
I got it.
Yeah.
We were able to get all of $25,000.
Wow.
That was a lot back then.
It was, but it wasn't enough to open.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't. So,
Oh, we know.
borrowing money from family and friends, and it took 2.5 years, and we did open on April 21st of 1984. And the word, Peter would go outside. Peter was the marketing person, would stand in the streets and hand out flyers to curly-haired women. He would dress in a beautiful suit. And as a matter of fact, I think he had 2 shirts. One was Armani, one was regular white shirt. He would dress up in his suit, his shirt, and just hand out flyers to curly-haired. And he would stand, our salon back then was at 846 7th Avenue between 54th and 55th. And Hearst Publication of Harper's Bazaar and all the magazines were 1 block behind us.
Wow.
Awesome.
So it was timing. And just handing out flyers, and somebody came in, one of the ladies, and she turned out to be a huge influencer and someone in the beauty industry, not a beauty editor, just an influencer back then in the magazine world, and a connector, a true connector. And I did her hair, and just word got out, and people were coming out of woodwork. I couldn't get help to come and help me. You know, I only had one other guy who was working with me, Brian, and he and I we couldn't fill the need. And as hairdresser Melanie, and all of you hairdressers out there, and to some of the stylists, it was so difficult to get hairdressers to come and help.
Oh God, yes.
Really,
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
Oh my God. Well, they didn't know how to work with curly hair. They were afraid.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Begged hairdressers to come and work at the time. So what I did was I started teaching and helping, giving my time to the beauty schools, LIBS and all the schools, with a promise that when they have a good graduates and graduates that have some promise and that are really dedicated, they would send them to me. And that's how I built the Ouidad family.
So let me ask you something real quick. So, you know, as far as you learning to work with the curly hair and being able to teach this to other people and your systems, how did you come up with that? Just from your own experience and experimenting and, you know, working on other people's hair?
Melanie, that's an excellent question. That's exactly what it was. I knew what it took to cut into a hair to make the curl sit. So I couldn't do it on myself. And I can't tell you how many times I've screwed up and messed up, and poor people would walk around with the cuts that I had given them. But common sense to me that I knew that if I cut a curl blunt, that curl was just going to sit there, flip up, stick up, and almost just say, I can't say it. I don't know if we can say it.
Oh, no.
You can say it.
I get it.
Yeah, it's just to say, screw you, girl. You ain't have
Exactly.
whatever the hell I want. I am free. I'm curly. So little by little, it was just trial and error.
Okay.
And it really all fell into a puzzle. And that's exactly what carving and slicing is all about. I do want to say that I have the only trademarked haircut in the country. I think is no other cut that's trademarked. And we were able to do it with Peter's genius measuring and really detailing it. And let me explain what that is to everyone out there. First of all, the Ouidad system is cutting hair wet. Mm-hmm. I believe that if you cut your hair dry, you might as well put a blindfolder on. And I'll explain my view of it and my difference. Not to say that it's not being done, not to say that it doesn't look good, but let me tell you my personal difference. When you first shampoo your hair is virgin at its naked shape. Hasn't dried, it's wet, and it's just there. When you take it and you hold it up and you cut with the movement of the curl, I am able to see the exact curvature of the curl and lightly slice, meaning slide your shear a little or carve a deeper C to allow the curl to sit on top of, into each other. So the top one will come in, and it's almost like puzzling.
Like a puzzle?
That's exactly what it is. It's a puzzle. And it's not cut in a uniform pattern. It's cut where it's required because curly hair has 3 to 4 to 5 different textures in one head of hair. So you could be slicing in the front, carving in the nape, carving at the crown, all over the place.
Anywhere it needs.
So explain the difference to people between the carving and the slicing.
Yes, and it's very easy to learn. The tighter and the more dense you would need to carve to create a better C, and the less curly. So if you have a classic curl, or if you have a wavy curl, or not the tight, or the kinky, or the Z's, or any number you want to call it. I go by 4 or 5 curl patterns, and everybody has the 2 B's, C, all the lettering. It's depending. The looser you slice, the tighter you carve, because you need a C.
Oh, that's good. That's very simple to understand. And that was part of a question that I was going to ask you. So now something that we get asked a lot, and you're the perfect person to explain to people, because there's a fear when you're carving and slicing into the hair that it's going to thin the hair. And, they're always worried about thinning with that and also causing the hair to frizz.
Absolutely. If you really do not have the technique down and the knowledge to fully understand where to carve and slice, you can go haywire and literally take too much out. So if it's cut properly, carving and slicing can never thin your hair out, even though it sounds like, how is that possible? If you're going in and you're taking a deep cut, or if you're slicing, you're taking some hair out. You are taking some hair out in the areas that are dense and that are sitting together and fanning out rather than puzzling into a curl pattern. So really, it doesn't thin it out. And one other thing that's even on top and more important is that it makes your haircut last longer because it is strategically designed to cut with your curl pattern. And if you blow your hair out, it's going to stay nicely too, because for curly ladies and girls, everyone who blows the hair out, once the humidity hits, you start seeing your hair moving and expanding, and it's going to move at the movement of the curl pattern. Mm-hmm. So when it's cut by the curl pattern, you won't get that.
Very good. Yeah, that's a good explanation. And I sometimes explain to the difference of, like, when we're thinning the hair, taking thinning shears, you're taking a lot of hair out, whereas this year, like you said, you're just taking specific little pieces.
In thinning shears, I was a tyrant when I was training, and anybody who's trained with me can tell you that. I would not hesitate to just scream across. There'd be 30 people taking class, and I'd be like, throw that thing down now! Because when you take a thinning shears, it's just like, it is a blunt.
So it's a blunt line.
Yes.
So, like, I have a lot of clients that come in and they're so full here, and then it's just thin, which I call a jellyfish, because you have full body and then just like these tendrils. And that's what a thinning shear technically does, is you got this nice weight, this blunt line, and then just something. And then when it grows out, you're growing out where you're stacking here still, But now it's so much shorter that it doesn't have the weight to drop, and then you just have this length. But with carving and slicing, whenever you do that, you're not making a blunt cut, which is something I have to explain to a lot of my clients, as well as to a lot of stylists I've been able to train, because they automatically think that they're like, oh, well, now I'm going to take out too much. And it's like, no, you're cutting with the curvature. So as the hair grows, then it grows together instead of growing and stacking and then dropping. So that's the major difference between that.
And do you find that helps with the, I don't know what you guys call it, the ultra curly hair, the type 4s, the kinky, whatever you want to call it. It helps to actually release that compactness of the hair?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you imagine taking, what do you call it? What letter you want to call it? For what?
Yeah, for just 4s, for ABC.
Okay, let's take all the 4 family.
Yeah.
The kinky, almost some of them are a Z shape,
right,
correct?
Right.
Okay, so when you have zillions of them, zillions, and a small head of hair, and the hair is, most of the time, the Z-shaped hair is always the baby and the most fine hair that you're ever going to work with.
Yes.
How do you think, are you able to go in and to create not a separation, but to have an independent curl create in that? The only way to do it is to take all the Z's and to create a seat so it can, the top, I don't know if you can see my hand. I don't know if they can see my hand. It's almost
we can see you.
Interlocking and twisting together to create a curl. Otherwise, all your Z's will go, yoing.
Yes. That is so true.
That's better hair for carving only.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
You want to throw in some viewer or listener questions? Or do you want to ask some more?
Well, I mean, it's up to you. I've got plenty of questions.
Let me throw in a couple of viewer listener questions for you.
Let's mix it up.
And we'll mix it up a little bit. This one is actually for both Ouidad and Sondriel. This is for both of you. This is from Tara Cooper Pena. What is their biggest struggle with their own curly hair routines, and how do you guys handle that struggle?
You want to go first? Okay, so my personal hair routine, is that what Tara wants to know?
Yes. What's your routine, and walk us through it, and what's your biggest struggle?
So depending on what I want, because this is the beauty about having curly hair, I could have 1,000 different styles and just go with it. So like, this is my tamer style. Normally, if I could have my hair to like the sky and back again, I would. But okay, so my biggest struggle is right here in the front, because I've been so blessed by my mom to have this form of growing where it goes, sits, and then goes again. So it's always flat, and it annoys the crap out of me, I swear to God. So what I have to do is I use a lot of hairspray, and my favorite hairspray is the styling mist from the Ouidad line, because the more you spray it, the more buildable it is, and also the more strength you get. So instead of using something strong at first, I can work it in. I use that, and I also use duckbill clips. So I'll clip my front and I'll over clip it forward. Then I spray it. Then I'll diffuse everything in place, take it out last, and then I can finally achieve my height. So that's usually my biggest issue. But I always use a leave-in conditioner. I always use a gel, but I use a lighter serum-y gel because I like my hair to take over its own style, but I just want the gel to be kind of like a t-shirt, like something light just to kind of keep it in place. And then it's normally just a styling mist or something. What about you?
Good description. My biggest thing with my hair for years, it's gotten thinner as the years went on, as time goes by. And it's a little bit more easier to manage. But I found that the more my hair had its own internal conditioning, meaning by doing deep treatment and feeding it so it'll have its own weight, the more manageability I got out of it. And it's almost like, I've always called my hair my sibling, because, you always fight always beat it up and beat it up, and it's always one.
Sibling rivalry.
Uh-huh.
And I truly, like, it won, but I learned that, all right, stop your bitching. Here, eat some food, have your own internal weight, and then together we can hang out. And that's where I find I'm more successful. Conditioning every 2 weeks, feeding the hair. Environment takes the hell out of your hair and dries it out and frizzes it out. It takes off without you even wanting it. or leaves the room before you even exit once it starts expanding. So you want to make sure that you do your deep treatment. And, you know, a nice cut, make sure that you have the right cut. And I'm not here to push Ouidad. I think there are zillions of hairdressers out there who are doing curls. And as the curl expert, as the person who founded the curly hair industry, I can't be happier. I cannot. Ken, when you were describing Melanie and her expertise, I was getting chills. We need millions of them.
Aww.
We know.
I was going to ask you that because I thought, does that bother you? You know, when people you've trained go off and start their own thing, or does that make you proud?
Does it bother you? Not at all.
Oh, man.
I have birthed King of Curl, Queen of Curl.
Yep.
I have birthed, you name it. They're all out there. And
You're the curl mama.
The curl mama.
Yeah, it makes me proud. It makes, you know what? I said this to Ken, I think, a while ago, or maybe today, I don't know when. I just said to him, there will never be, I know in my lifetime, there won't be enough hairdressers to cover.
No.
Exactly.
The curly hair clients. So any of the hairdressers who feel like they have to fight with each other, I think they're fools. They're wasting time. You need to be inclusive. If that was the case, I would have never went out and taught hairdressers. I would have never. I would have wanted to keep it to myself, which would have been the most ridiculous thing I have done in my life.
And and just to go off of what my mom's saying, I work inside a studio space. So for everyone who's watching, if you've been to one, like, you know, like there's this one little spot and then there's a whole group of people. Ironically, and I say this with like my love in this heart, somebody diagonal from me is actually Devashan. Which is awesome because we sit there and not only do we look like creepers with each other because we're watching each other cut hair all day long, but then we're also like, how did you do that? I want to use your products. Wait, can we trade? And we're constantly playing with products. I have Miss Jessie's down the hall from me. And we sit in each other's studios and we just learn. And you know what? It makes not only clients feel excited when everyone knows that Ouidad and Devashan are supposedly supposed to be rivals, which is great, which is awesome. But then it makes it even better that we can both sit in the same room and go, I love him. So we're going to work together and do this. I actually just had a session with him about a week ago where I helped him on a client, which is unheard of in the curly world alone.
Oh, yeah.
It's unheard of in the hairdressing world. So the fact that it's so important to spread the knowledge, spread the love, be able to go out and talk about it. We are only as strong when we're all together. When we're all fighting, nothing is ever going to get accomplished.
I have a picture. I have a picture from a couple of years ago at America's Beauty Show in Chicago. Michelle Breyer, our mutual friend from naturallycurly.com, she had a texture stage, and I have a picture that I took of a Mazzani stylist on the stage cutting hair, and in the picture in the audience I have a picture of Melanie, Chadwick Pendley, Sherry Harbinger, and Cristo, all in the same picture, all intently watching. And I was like, right there. I mean, there you go, because you've got 5 different disciplines of stylists right there. 5, literally 5, and everybody standing there watching intently. You know, and I'm like, this is how it should be. This is exactly how it should be.
It's exactly what they're talking about. And, you know, my clients and people will ask that all the time. Oh, you're taking a class. What do you need to learn? There's always more to learn. And I love learning. I love, like, you're saying, to watch other stylists and see what they're doing, or be able to talk about, hey, what do you do about this situation? Or, you know, what do you do about that? And sharing and learning from each other. That's the way we all grow and help the curly industry.
Right. Yeah.
But I think I have to say, I think I was one of the first stylists to unite the dry cutting and the wet cutting for that reason, because I saw benefits of both. I love the techniques from Ouidad, and then there's actually a story behind that, and then I learned the techniques. I got trained by Diva, and I saw the benefit of that as well. And I said, boy, I really see that combining these two systems of wet cutting and dry cutting is really what's best for a lot of situations.
Yeah.
So,
And she's taken a lot of heat for that.
I really have because it like Ouidad was saying, it was always wet cutting or dry cutting, and the two never merge. And I like to have an open mind and learn as much as I can so I can apply it to my clients' needs. And I saw the need for both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to quickly share something with you. I was doing HSN, and Lorraine Massey was there, and she was just on the air for their diffuser for the first time, and I was on the air constantly. And I'm not saying it because she's not. So we ended up. Everyone at HSN stays in the same hotel. So Lorraine and I were in the lobby together, and she came up to me, and she was very humble, wonderful woman, and we sat and had almost an hour of discussing wet and dry. And Melanie, you're correct. They do work together, but there is a major difference in both production.
Correct.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's important to combine. It's important to learn. You can't learn enough.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And you got to know when to use what. And it's just like any other hairdressing tool. We have different tools for different reasons, for different needs,
Yeah. Let me get a couple other quick questions in here before Melanie goes back into hers. This question is mine. And it's a jealousy thing, so I'll put that out there first, but here's my question. So how was the Elton John concert the other night? Hate you.
That's not a great question. You were in the 5th row.
You suck. I saw the pictures. You suck. I saw it.
Amazing.
The stage show from the pictures that you took, that backdrop, it looked real. It looked like you could walk into it, like he was walking into the yellow brick road. I'm like, the yellow brick road thing at the beginning. I'm like, my God. All right. Okay. All right. Moving on. Ouidad, what are your feelings on silicones?
That's a very important question. And there was a time in my life where I used silicone in the product, and I used crystal silicates, which is a breathable form of silicone. So if you ask me outright, Ouidad, do you think that silicone is good for curly hair? I would say no goddamn way. Mm-hmm. But in '84, there was no goddamn products, ingredients.
Right.
When you're creating these things, and you're the only one for 10 years before John Frieda came out, which was pure silicone with his frizzies.
Right.
And DevaCurl were founded the same year, which is 1994, which is 10 years after we died. I did use it. I had to, even though it was breathable. I think that there is a need of silicone if you're doing shoots, if you're doing quick changes, and if you need the beautiful gloss look. Yes. But for overall day-to-day life and health of curly hair, it's really not that good.
Well, that's kind of an answer that when people ask me, I'm like, silicone is good because it's an anti-humectant. So it repels moisture, which means, it helps with frizz, but it's also bad because it's an anti-humectant and it repels moisture.
Right. Double-edged sword.
It defeats the purpose in a way.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So, when she was talking about, I want to go back so I don't forget, because Ouidad was talking about her routine and how important it was to do conditioning treatments. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because there's a lot of negativity about certain conditioning treatments using protein. And, what are your thoughts on that? There's a lot of bashing about using protein and protein sensitivity.
I think that my deep treatment, which was I actually formulated that in my kitchen sink long before Ouidad was opened in '84, and I've used it all along. And as the ingredients got better and better, I've worked with protein. I think protein is essential. There are conditioning proteins, there are moisturizing proteins. So just like the word silicone is deadly, protein can be that way to some people, but it's not. And I think it's essential to add it into the molecular layer and into the hair shaft itself with moisturizing bonds to work together. And that's exactly how I feel, because you can't just put moisturizing that's just making it feel good and slip. It's going to do absolutely nothing. And I'll challenge anyone to that. You need some proteins and bonds to work together.
I mean, just to play off of what my mom's saying, whenever I have clients that are coming in for a major color change, I tell them, I'm like, this is what I want you to do. I need you, starting a month prior, I'm like, every 2 weeks, I need you to do a deep treatment. And then once a week, I want you to use it as a leave-in. So when you come in, I'm not going to hurt or damage your hair because I'm working on a very fortified structure. It is so important to do that. I mean, I do that for myself. I'm about to go through another color change, which is probably going to scare the crap out of my mom.
Oh, God.
I've been living in a deep treatment. I've been living in a deep treatment for literally the last month because I've been prepping my hair for this. Because, I mean, my mom's taught me protein is good. Protein is important. And it's how you educate as a stylist to be able to get that across to a client. And it's nothing scary. You don't have to be scared of it. You just need to know when and how often to use it.
They are moisturizing proteins. We're not talking about the PPT 77 that Redken put out back in the early 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
And hard. We're talking about conditioning protein. And by the way, I love that product. Thank you, Redken.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm so glad to hear you say that but for the most part, all of us professionals have said the same thing and we're all on the same page. So, but this is just some of that misinformation that's out there. Of course, we need protein in the hair. It's part of the structure of the hair. So, and it strengthens it. It keeps it from, breaking down. But you hit it right on the head where you couple it with moisturizing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think these last couple of questions really kind of answer this next question I was going to ask. And this one's from Nicole Jackson. The last one was from Lily Novi. Thank you. But this question was, if you could stop one piece of curly hair, quote unquote, fake news, what would that one thing be? So would it be silicones? Would it be protein issues? Or what do you think is like the biggest piece of fake news / misinformation that is commonly known as fact that's really not fact?
Oh, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
Oh, come on.
Oh my God, I don't know if I would just go to an ingredient than something much.
I don't know if you're going to do the same thing I am.
Bigger and real. And even though the natural movement is so strong right now, natural hair and everything, I think the biggest fake news is that curly hair is a lot of work, and it's not.
Hey, that's a good answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the getting the. What's yours?
That really doesn't come off professional. That's something I always get as a stylist in the chair. It's like, I have to go. Thank you. That's the point. It's fake news.
Sure.
It's like I have a lot of lawyers, and before they walk into a courtroom, they need to straighten their hair, and I'm like, I'm not doing it.
Right. Stop. Yeah.
We you wear it out and you wear it proud, and it's like, and it breaks my heart to hear it. But yeah, that it's a lot of work, which is my mom's right. It's not, and then you're not professional.
Yeah, I do. We have a 62,000 member Facebook curly hair group, and it breaks my heart because I see it every couple of days. I'll see somebody post and they'll post something like, help, I have this really important job interview tomorrow. How should I wear my hair? And I just want to go in there and scream the same way you do every day, right? I mean, why are you thinking, why? But it's so common that people think that, and I can't wait till those days are gone.
Well, they definitely are getting far and fewer in between, because now you're seeing commercials and models and magazines and all of that with curly hair, which you never saw before. Before it was always a straight hair. I mean, I had been singled out in a class where they were saying, they wouldn't let people wear their hair curly working in a salon. So, I mean, that used to be the way that it was, but I think it's definitely changed.
Did you?
Yes, a long, long way. And not enough. We still have to just, I've been doing this for 40 years. You would think that everybody knows about curly hair. They don't. There's still a lot of people out there, and we need more of us out there to help them. Like right now I'm moving on. I'm going into a different life, which I want to share with you in a couple of minutes. But I think it's important that all these hairdressers and everybody out there keep marching, educating, teaching, because beauty is natural.
She's going into the restaurant business. Are you going into the restaurant business?
No damn way.
You owe it. You
now
owe it.
Flipped another coin.
Picky customer, and I'll be saying, girl or man, Lucky you have food on the table.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Can I do one more?
No, because that leads me into a question that I was
Okay,
gonna
go
ask.
ahead. All right, we'll let Melanie go, and then I'll go into more
fighting over
listener questions.
Well, this is, more for hairdressers because we do get professionals that listen to the show as well. So you kind of just touched on, and I said how there was a story behind how we met, because I think when you first started your academy, you had different requirements. Like I wanted to come and train at your academy, and this was probably in about 2004, 2005. But at that time, I believe you were only accepting like bigger salons. You couldn't come as an individual. So I was unable to come and get certified through you, and that's how I ended up going through Diva Sean.
Yeah, that is a question
I
that
think
actually
that's-
came up from one of the stylists in our curly hair professional stylist Facebook group, that private group. That question actually came up today.
I think
was
it's
someone
changed.
someone who has a one like a 2-chair suite. Wanted to know if you would ever allow that training for smaller salons, and that they had tried in the past about 10 years ago and weren't able to. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely.
Oh, you can do that. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Really?
We did don't forget, when we first started, there was nothing out there. We were all by ourselves. And when I started the training, I wanted to make sure that it was more than just independent contractors, hairdressers coming in to have the training and go away. I wanted to make sure that the salon was there, because my concern was the client. My concern is the customer. My concern is that we're not going to screw up and mess up more curly hair, that we were really going to do the best we can, because we have this big wall that we need to climb and go over to help them. We're not putting up a wall. We have to knock down the wall. And I'm not talking about Trump by any means. I'm just talking about a curly hair woman that comes in and sits in your chair, and she's got years of luggage that with this big defensive attitude, this luggage from her mother or father saying, do something with your hair, we're going out. And I could go on and on and on and on. And what I wanted to do was to make sure that the whole salon was certified, so I can hold that salon responsible if they messed up the client. And that client would call all the time. We would get clients calling us from every single salon. I had a dedicated receptionist at the front desk on my 57th Street, just answering people, answering hairdressers, answering salons and clients. And that's why I had that then. Fast forward, now the academy, it's for independent hairdressers, because my concern was I wanted to make sure that we, the hairdresser, were responsible for our actions. That's why I wanted a full salon, not just one person at a time. If there was nothing in hell, I could have kept control of that.
Sure. I've heard stories in the past that that you didn't just shuffle people through that academy where just because they showed up and paid their money, they got signed off on as being certified. I heard that you were turning as many people away as you were certifying. I stand up and applaud that. I don't think you can see me, but I applaud that. Thank
you. And again, that's what built where we are today. And I don't mean about Ouidad. I mean about the curly hair industry.
I agree. I totally understand that.
The hair industry. That's what makes it so wonderful, because it's not about the money. You're doing something so valuable, so precious, so important. You have fragile people in your chair that have been mentally suppressed and abused by their own family. And I don't mean it in any negative way, just because their parents didn't know any better. And so, I think, I've had hairdressers that cried when I failed them. But, they had to come back. And when they came back, they kicked ass and they put me in the wind. They were great. And that's what it's about.
But also the difference is whenever you came and you got trained, I mean, I got failed. I'm going to be honest. I got failed once or twice. I had to start all over again. But you became part of the family. So
the Ouidad family.
Right. So if you were out in, Washington, right, and you got certified, you got invited to come back and shadow us for a weekend just so we can refresh you and be there for you. So it wasn't just making sure the client was in good hands. We wanted to make sure that our family members were also taken care of. And that's the way we did it. And that's why people got turned away as much as they got passed, because we had a standard and our clients knew that. So we wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same level or same playing field as we all could be. But we cared just as much as the stylist as we did about the client.
Yeah.
And now we've expanded, so there's room for independent contractors, independent hairstylists, the salon of two, the salon that just you talked about.
The suite with
Please,
2 chairs.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, the suite with 2 chairs. The
Sure.
arms are open. Please come in.
Great.
Are you actually involved in any of the training anymore, or what? You were going to
No, I'm
tell
not.
us what you got going on.
Actually, I stepped away from the chair about in 2014, and I have a whole team of educators, and I've been on top of them. I go in, and to be honest with you, right now, what I'm doing, I'm very excited about. In 2004, Peter and I started a foundation with the salon, with the company Curls for Cure. And I want to invite everybody from the podcast and everybody, all stylists anywhere, to go on Facebook and like it. We are launching it now separate from the Ouidad. And what we want to do is invite passion hairdressers about what they do to help women who have gone through cancer, so these clients can find compassionate clients.
Stylist.
A stylist. That's what it's about. It's about finding the right people. And again, it is Curls for Cure, and the website is going to go up soon. Curls for Cure has been in existence since 2004. We have raised over $600,000, and now we're taking it in a different way. Instead of just raising money, and here's a bracelet for it, instead of just raising money for BCRF, we want to eradicate that. It's about finding these passionate hairdressers, these compassionate souls to work with people who have gone through this experience. And having gone through it myself, it has made me a completely new hairdresser. And I have trained hairdressers about how to deal with people who are going through that. And there's nothing more important to women than our hair. Mm-hmm. And I remember before I had my cancer, and the women would come in, and she'd be devastated. And I was like this cheerleader cheering her on, saying, just think, you can have any hairstyle you want. You can get red, you can be blonde, you can be brunette, you can have straight hair.
Yep.
No straight hair. You can have curly hair, you can have wavy hair, you can have whatever you want. And I was thinking I was helping her. After I went through it, I realized, girl, all that women really wanted was to be herself.
Yeah.
And that is the most valuable thing. So that's my direction now. I am not teaching, I'm not training, but man, am I bringing people together from my business, from my career, from my passion, bringing these hairdressers, curly hairdressers in, and that's my new road. And that's where I am going forward.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That was one of my questions that I was going to bring up, but you just answered it. And that's kind of how we got started in our venture as well. It was due to my husband's cancer, and we shared a little bit of that with you when we had met at an event before. But, it was a lot of things like this get birthed out of necessity. And, from what you were sharing earlier, same thing. It's like, there was nobody, addressing curly hair and then curly hair products. And same for us. It was like, nobody, there wasn't organic products. And because of his cancer, we changed our lifestyle and our environment to be organic and non-toxic. So, I couldn't find anything to work with. And, that's how we started the Raw Curls products. And it just has gone from there.
Yeah, so much is birthed by the mother of necessity.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, there's one viewer tonight of this interview that's not going to be happy, and that's Sari Pashko, because her question for you was, she wanted to know if you will be coming to the salon in Santa Monica yourself anytime soon in the near future, and to cut curls, and if you are, can she be notified? So apparently not.
Well, Mom, from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful for her even requesting it. And we could go see Pia, who is the head person there, I will make sure we'll treat her, and we don't have to. Pia will take care of her as if I was taking care of her. And all I can do is just say, thank you for even wanting me to do it. I'm honored.
Yes. Let me just
Are you kidding? If somebody gets her at the salon, it's going to be me.
Right. It's going to be Melanie.
Come on.
Yeah. I have one question that tails onto that from Janice Among. She wants to know, when you go to a Ouidad approved salon, how much training do the stylists actually have if they were trained by someone who came up from, say, the Santa Monica flagship salon?
That's an excellent question. So the trainers that we have are trainers that go all throughout the country. So it's not that we have a team of educators and stylists that train, and they go everywhere to train. So they have been trained for years and years under their belts, who are educators, who are teaching educators. So they're not just getting somebody who just got certified and they're going to teach them. They are getting a hardcore person that is going to teach them, and that's going to make sure that they win.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Do you have any other questions, Melanie?
I do. Yeah. So part of, I know how difficult and how much work this has been for us. And, I was wondering if you felt the same way. I mean, people are always like, why, how do you do this? Why are you doing it? And, it's like we just said, out of necessity, but I don't know if you relate working so much tying in with your cancer, because I know like my husband was working a lot. We're still working 18 hours a day. And, do you feel, but it seems, people are like, why do you do that? They can't understand, if they haven't started and owned and run a business, they think it's crazy. But it's just from my experience, any successful business person, that's pretty much how it goes. It's like we're wired this way. We just work.
Just get tied up.
But we love it.
Work doesn't become work. What happens is when you are wired that way, it's your passion and it's what you feel. I never felt that I was working. I never ever felt that. Even when I was in the salon by myself, I couldn't even get hairdressers to work with me. And I'm going way back. I'm going 35 years ago. It's just, it's a passion. And it's like you said, we're wired that way, and it's who we are. And it's just, you can't, it didn't feel like you were going to work. It feels like you were working out, and that you were going, you climbing these steps and doing every step, and you're seeing these results, and the rewards are amazing. To have a client hug you and cry. It's the first time a client hugged me and cried, I was like, shit, she hates it, I'm dead.
Right.
That she was, I started crying. She was crying. We were a bunch of whiners. Now it's like, it's so exciting. So it's not a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It didn't feel like it was a lot of work. In my cancer, I lost my mother to the same cancer, to the breast cancer. I lost her. So when I got diagnosed, I kept looking around my kids, my son and daughter, my team, and I just didn't want to go. But it was 20 years later, and, cancer has come a long, long way. And it just gave me more drive. It gave me much more drive. And probably that's how you two are. You're just driven, and thank God for your recovery, and look at what you're doing. And I congratulate you on your podcast, and congratulate you on, you said to me, you can't believe you have that many. And I'm saying, what do you mean? Good for you that you guys are the first doing it, and you need to keep going out there. There's a lot of need, a lot of information, a lot of people that would love information. And it's your damn job to do it now. Get out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
we will. we will.
It was motivating for my mom. It was scary as hell for me when I found out, because that was it. Because I knew that my grandmother died, and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm gonna be motherless, game over.
Right.
But what got me through it was, I'm going to try not to get emotional because it kills me every time, was seeing her go to work every day like nothing was wrong. And I was looking at her like she's crazy. I'm like, Mom, you could have died. She's like, yeah, but I have you to annoy, and I have my team to like kick their butt. I got things to do. And I'm like, all right, that's what we're doing. And it's like, and then that's what gave me the strength and the inspiration to just to go out and do that. And I'm kind of backtracking here when I say going back to clients when they come in and they're going through cancer.
Yeah.
I've never been through it, knock on wood. Yep. But watching my mom go through it has given me the empathy that I needed to give the support to someone who's going through it from the eyes of seeing someone else who went through it. So it's like I'm able to learn, and I'm able to grow, and I'm able to help because I've experienced it outer body. Yeah. So it's just something that it motivates you in every way. Like it changed me as a person. I'm like, oh, like I have a sales rep who went through a form of cancer, and I'm like, girl, you got this, don't worry. She goes, but I'm so frustrated. I'm like, take that frustration, and I hear my mom say all the time, and go kick cancer's ass. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys something that a lot of people don't know, but I'll tell. Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell the world. For about 14 years, Melanie ran the American Cancer Society Look Good, Feel Better program in Fort Myers for Southwest Florida for women undergoing cancer treatments. And just recently, that program ended and moved to Sarasota. Is that right?
Yeah.
Moved to Tampa or Sarasota, but Melanie ran that for about 14 years.
No, it's been longer than that.
Longer than that?
I was
15 years?
involved in that before we even moved down here. And we've been here 15 years. It's a great program. So I love what you're doing. I definitely want to be a part of it. I think it's wonderful. It's amazing to help these women and see them, just have hope and, feel good about themselves. And so, yeah, but they are moving that program inside of like doctor or medical facilities instead of just.
They kind of changed it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to change the dynamics. It's okay. We're going to have Curls for Cure all over. And again, I'm inviting you. I would like you to put it on the blog if you can, on the pod. It's curlsforcure.org. The website will be going up, but they can go to Facebook or Instagram and just like it for now so we can get it. But it's every hairdresser out there.
Great.
Every hairdresser.
Hey, Rhett, can you get that? Rhett? Okay.
I'm sorry?
I was asking Rhett if he can, my producer, if he can get it in there. He's already got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everyone is invited, and the whole idea is to bring the hairdressers to the people with the curly community.
That's awesome. Do we have another question?
I got a question. This one's for Sondriel. Do you like the supersonic Dyson hairdryer? What are your thoughts for curly hair compared to other regular hair dryers? Any thoughts on that?
All the time. Personally, I don't use it. So, but I've played with it, and I feel like for me, I'm going to be honest. I'm a very honest person, but I've played with it, and for me, it's a lot lighter. I like a dryer with a little more power in heat capacity. So I'm more of a Croc user or a Solano. I use either one of those two blow dryers personally. I have clients with curly hair that love it, and I have clients with curly hair that hate it. And it's just particularly on the size of it and the power that it has. And that's really what I'm finding with a lot of my clients. If you like it, and this is exactly what I tell all my clients, if you like it and it works for you, use it.
Exactly.
If you don't, I'm more than happy to tell you to get a Croc or a Solano. They work out beautifully as well, and they last for years.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Because that was actually another question I wrote down. As far as using diffusers or air drying, so you do diffuse the hair, and so I'm hearing you say that you do it on a higher temperature and higher airflow, because we get that question a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Depending on what my client's looking for. If I'm looking for a lot of volume, I will diffuse for the first 10 minutes, then I'll air dry. And I'll let them air dry for about like a half an hour, which is me putting them underneath like a hooded dryer. And then I go back and diffuse it again, and just to build it up and get the curl pattern in. If it's someone that wants their hair a little more looser, it's just strictly air drying. If it's somebody that wants to have a bunch of volume, like those picked out kind of feels before you pick, then I'm diffusing from the second I finish drying, and we're constantly flipping the head from right to left to forward to back, and just keeping those roots moving in the 360 degrees so they don't get stuck in one side or the other. So it really depends on what the look you're going for. I'm not against it all, but one of the questions is like, well, if I diffuse on high heat and high speed, I'll frizz.
Right.
My complete thing is, it all depends on how you style. If you seal down the cuticle and if you seal it all the way from root to end, it's not going to matter. Also, if you touch your hair a lot whenever it's drying, your cuticle is such a delicate fabric that when you start touching it, product starts to transfer from your hair to your hand. After a while, your hand becomes like Velcro and your cuticle becomes like cotton. So as you're hitting it, you're lifting it up and drying it into place. So once you're drying, you have to try not to use it. Once your hair's about 80% dry, then you can start putting your hand in it, feeling it, diffusing it, moving it around, getting it to where you want to be. But in that first 80% of drying, you have to be careful with it, or else it's just going to look like you stuck your finger in a socket. So it really just all depends where you're going.
That's interesting because I was thinking when you were saying that we do it a little differently, but now we do pretty much the same thing because I always teach letting the hair air dry, or we put them under a hooded dryer until it's 50 to 80% dry and then diffuse for that same reason. Because, we don't want to be touching the hair before that. So, yeah.
Okay. Let me, I've got
I wanted to finish with that diffusing. There's also questions about, do you diffuse completely dry, or are you letting it be a slightly damp? Are you completely drying the hair?
I completely dry.
Okay.
I leave the roots a little damp.
Mm-hmm.
Any reason why? Either one of you?
Yeah, because once the roots are set in their place and they're set with the moisture that the hair has from being shampooed and conditioned, that it has a stronger hold and it stays up longer. Where if you go to diffuse it, no matter, even if you do it on low heat, you are dehydrating the water in order for hair to dry, and that little process will take away some of the oomph and the lift and the strength. So I pretty much dry it about 80% and leave it.
Okay.
That's me.
I do, and I don't dry completely either. But see, that's what's fun because we all do something a little bit different, but it works. We find what works.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the tips that I have, I've actually learned from clients. They're like, "Hey, this is what I do." I was like, "Cool, let's try it." So it's like I always tell my clients, I'm like, you're the professional on what you want. I'm the professional on how to get it done. We need to work together to get to the end game, and that's changed everything in my career.
That's true. And, there's certain rules that, have been taught or learned. And I've been one, again, to just test things, and certain clients may say, I have a client who made me.
To the Ouidad brand. So they want to start using the Ouidad brand. Give them a list, like a lineup of products, start to finish, that you would recommend a newbie to use.
Well, first of all,
great question.
It is a great question, but less is more. So I have a lot of new clients that come in. I always send them out with what I call my essentials. Mm-hmm. My essentials is the deep treatment, the botanical boost, the moisture lock, and the climate control. So you have your deep treatment, you have your bonding builder, you have your basically the food for your hair. Then you have your botanical boost, which is aloe vera based. So it's healing to the cuticle. It restores the moisture. It's good for priming before styling. It's good for refreshing the next day. Then you have moisture lock. That's the prickly pear in it, right? Yeah. So that has the cactus.
I love prickly pear.
And that will go in and seal down because cactuses are known for retaining moisture. And then climate control, not only it being our number one seller for a damn good reason, but it's like the best introduction to have into Ouidad, where you're going to get all of our best hitters at the first time, and then being able to use them and go through. And the climate control is a great hold. It has like a Pac-Man technology in it. So then it's going to basically work with the humidity to keep you from frizzing. And your style is going to last about 4 to 5 days. So it's a great introduction into it. My only tip is make sure that you watch how to do a style, or before getting the products, go in and see a certified stylist in your area and just go through a style to get a lesson so you know how to use them correctly. Because if you don't, 9 times out of 10, and I get this a lot, they're like, the products don't work for me. I'm like, challenge accepted. Let's do a style. And it's really because you're still styling the same way. The way that we style is from the ends up. So if you're starting here and putting on product and telling me that your hair's flat, well, it's because you're putting product here. You want to start from the ends up and let your roots breathe, which is why now I know my mom is her roots wet. I didn't know that.
Wow. See, you learned something.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow. That's cool.
Cool. I've got two more questions, and then I've got some closing things.
Well, let me ask about their products, because I don't have the proper training on the Ouidad products either. So, and that's different. I didn't know that your products are to be applied from end to root. That's different. And do you like to apply them on soaking wet hair, or do you take some of that water out before applying the product?
I apply when the hair's not dripping anymore.
Same thing.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, the best way to do it is when it's freshly shampooed, just blot it, make sure there's moisture in the hair, that you don't dry it out completely, and then start applying in the hair shaft and just creating the rake and shake movement and position. I call it like setting, as if you would set straight hair. This is how you set your curls back into pattern.
Yeah. Okay. That goes into our next question.
It does?
Yes.
With the rake and shake?
Yes. The next question comes from Caitlin Brett. Are you the one, Ouidad, are you the one that developed the rake and shake method?
Yes.
You are. Okay. Do you have advice for those of us who are struggling to master it?
Yeah, very easy. Close your eyes. In the back and clip it. Use your fingers as a wide tooth comb. Put gel in the palm of your hand. Rub your hands together and rake your hair from the roots going all the way to the end. Hold it at the end and just shake it back and forth, move it back and forth, allowing the curl pattern to take its shape back. And be patient and do little section at a time at the beginning till you have that system down. So the reason it's called rake and shake, because you're raking the gel in and you're shaking your curl pattern right back in. And I've never used tools in all the years that I have worked. My fingers have always been my tools.
And one more quick tip about that. When you go to rake, make sure that the tension between your fingers is actually tight. If you leave them loose, just like how I said before about diffusing, when your hair would still frizz, depending if you seal down your cuticle or not, this is what's going to seal down the cuticle. So don't rake and leave your fingers like open. Bring those knuckles together and get that nice sealing down. Like your hair should feel nice and smooth. And if you're feeling a little bump, don't be afraid to just go back over it.
Mm-hmm.
Your DNA.
It is. You taught me well.
Wow, look at that.
Do you have any more
the
questions?
mom-daughter team. Well, that kind of ties in with another question that I had, because a lot of people are afraid of combing their hair, like using a wide tooth comb. So you're saying you've always used your fingers. So do you not believe in using like a wide tooth comb to detangle the hair?
Well, unless it's super wide, like Peter actually designed the double detangler, which was a design of my hands, one overlapping the other and detangling the hair. That's how that comb came about. And it's pretty heavy. Now we use it as a weapon towards each other, but actually, that's what the double detangler is. So no, I don't believe it, but it's not, I don't believe in using a rake. I wish for people not to do it, but there are times where you have to. And if you do, make sure, first of all, it's not plastic, that it's rubber, or it's made of a material that is not staticky,
flexible,
and that's not going to rip your hair off. And at the same time, you want to make sure that the teeth are wide enough, the prongs, so when you detangle, you're not compressing, like backcombing and teasing. And well, those were my days in the 70s where we did the poofs. But that's what you do when you use a rat tail comb and you're trying to detangle, by pushing the tangles down and compressing them on each other, and start from the bottom detangling. Yeah. So the number one tip would be, when you're in the shower and you have conditioner, use your fingers to detangle the hair while the conditioner is in, and then use the rat tail comb in the shower and start combing it out. And then when you rinse it, don't tangle, don't scrub your hair, just rinse it out thoroughly and then hold it, and you will not need to use a comb again. So when it's in the shower, it's less stress.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have anything else?
No, well, yeah, because I have found that the type 4, again, the super tight, the super, kinky, curly, definitely seems to compact and get really tangly, so it takes a little more to detangle. And I feel like you need to get that detangled, or it's going to, like, the hair dreads.
Mm-hmm.
You do, but you use a rake for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The pick.
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes. Some people are using a Denman brush. What do you think about that?
Okay.
How can you use an interlocked teeth to go in, lay it 4 or 5 above each other, 5 rows, and just flip the shit out of your hair?
Because you start from the bottom up and you don't rip and you use conditioner.
Unless you have a lot of conditioner.
Well, that's what we
do.
do.
That's true. So Sondriel, you've used the Denman. Don't tell your mom.
Do you take rows? Do you take covering her ears and nodding your head doesn't work. That does not work.
Okay,
Oh gosh.
no, so yes, I've actually used the Denman brush. I use the Denman brush because one of my clients, I want to say a 3C to like a 4B, came in and sat in my chair and said, "You're using this to style." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And she goes, "Well, if you're not, then I won't let you style my hair." And I was like, "Fine, challenge accepted." So I found on certain, I want to prove them wrong, but I can't sometimes. So I found on certain textures that
Good for you.
it does work out better. But the good thing about a Denman brush that I don't think you know, is that you
Can take the rows out.
slide the Denman brush out and you can take out rows of
Rows.
teeth. So you can actually make it farther apart so it's not as stressful.
Oh, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the same thing. Like, I really was against it, and then people started using them, and we've had, more of that hair type come in, and I have a stylist with that hair, and she was using it and loved it, and I'm like, oh, fine, I'll try it.
There's something going on. You got your own suite. We're calling you by one name, like Madonna, Ouidad, Sting.
Well,
What's your plan?
There's no need for a last name with my first name, so good job.
Right. So what's the plan? What's the strategy here? What's your thoughts? What do you want to do?
Sure.
I'll mute
Okay,
it.
well, I'm going to say this. I'm in the process of making stuff, but you're going to have me back when it finally gets launched.
We can do that.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Good
Deal.
job.
All right. Well,
Deal.
then we're going to demand you bring
Then you have to
wine.
come to my salon.
Yes, and you have to bring wine
Oh my
because that's how
God,
we get people to
down.
talk.
Oh, I'll be there in a heartbeat.
Yay.
Beautiful. All right, then we're gonna hold you for that. Everybody else can hold their breath. Oh boy. Okay, so let's
Well, what
okay.
is it?
What's what?
Let her.
Doing it, and every person out there, hopefully, but I know that you are doing it, Melanie. I've heard you, I felt you, I feel you and feel it, and I love it, and I'm there behind you 100%. And same thing with Sondriel. That's what I would say. Follow your passion, honestly, and that's not just a saying; it's an actual gut feeling. Follow it, and don't listen to a damn person. Follow your passion.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. That's great advice
It
because
is.
you are bombarded by.
And Instagram.
Okay.
And the website should be up within about 6 weeks, and it's going to be curlsforcure.org. So if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, you'll be getting information. Right now, we're just positioning.
Wonderful. Good. Well, great. Well, thank you very much. Would you guys be interested in coming on again, like we talked a little bit ago? Would you guys come in again for Q&A?
Sure,
Absolutely.
Good.
sure. I have a
Wonderful.
closing for you too. How do you feel about what you have accomplished? I am so proud of you, and I'm
Oh my
so
God,
happy.
Go ahead.
Oh gosh.
With the questions, huh?
Yeah, it is a tough question.
Tough.
I was just talking to somebody about this, and oddly enough, I never really feel like I've accomplished that much. I'm always trying to strive for more, and I never, focus on, people will say, well, look at what you've done. And I'm like, yeah, but there's so much more to do. I feel like I just, there's just so much more to accomplish. So, I don't take a lot of time to step back and look at what we've already done.
Yeah, I really don't either, and I really believe that because I don't look at it that way, I think that's why I've been able to do and we've been able to do the things that we've done over the years. And somebody actually said to me just recently and said, it's just amazing, what you've accomplished in your career. And I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it. And I think that's one of the things that I've been able to do over the last 31 years is that I don't hear the naysayers and the haters, and I don't hear that. But at the same time, I don't listen to the people who are cheering me on, telling me I'm wonderful either. So I just kind of keep that kind of dead focus and just do and just keep doing. And maybe someday myself will tell myself that, that I've accomplished or we've accomplished. But until then, every day is just a gift, obviously, especially in my case. And we just keep doing what we're doing and let the hard work play out.
Yeah, I
Yellow Brick Road.
yeah.
Right.
I guess,
Right.
I've always been self-driven and continue to do that. But it's just,
Yeah.
what I love is helping people. And, like you guys shared earlier, it's so satisfying to have those people come in. They're terrified. They've had a bad experience. They can't find products, and then you can change, you have a positive change and effect on their lives. And it's just, that's amazing. So, I just look forward to being able to do more of that and continue, growing.
Yeah. This has, I got to admit though,
Keep it going forward. That's wonderful.
I got to admit, this has been probably my most fun project in a long time. Is this curly hair Q&A show? It's really been a lot of fun. More fun than I expected it. I thought it would be hard. I was really scared about when I was sick, the third time I had cancer, I had a ton of really bad chemo and radiation treatments, and I lost I lost some of my memory, and it would cause my speech to, every other word was and I'd stop and I'd lose my train of thought. I was really self-conscious and embarrassed about it. And I thought, God, if I do this show and it's like that, and it did. When I first started doing this 2 years ago, people would come on in the comment section and just rip me as being annoying, and I can't stand listening to this guy and all that, blah, 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 blah. And then one Saturday, it just kind of hit me on the wrong day that people were ripping me about it. And I came on and I did a show and I spewed why, and I named names. Like everybody who called me out and called me names, I named names. Like
for me, it's just menopause.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right. And I did it like on the whatever late night show that does the mean tweets. I literally did it like that. I did a whole show and read people's names and their comments about how they made fun of me and comment. And what's really funny is from that point forward, it stopped. I mean, for me, it stopped. I'm like, I somehow that kind of me addressing it in such a real open way got me past that. And ever since then, it's been a whole lot easier. I just don't care. And it's been a lot of fun. It's really been a lot of fun.
It's been great. In your curly community, I've always said this about curly haired people all over the world. And I mentioned to you earlier that I did go with Unilever, and I worked with them all throughout Latin America, creating curly hair lines for them. And the curly hair community is the most compassionate, loving, and caring community that I have ever experienced. And I've had experience in Hollywood, not Hollywood, the movies, when doing beauty. I've done not beauty, like I've done shows, I've done Broadway shows, I've done ad agency, I've done all that. But to have the community, the curly hair community, they are loving. And so, our community should be called All We Need Is Love. And that's all it is. All you need is love. And that's what you gave.
You're torturing them. Can you stop?
Well, I think, and I'm so glad that you came on the show, and so many people really didn't know you. It's just amazing, and there's a lot of people have been afraid of you. They're intimidated, and
years. I'm a terror behind that chair. I'm a terror because I was so goddamn, and I still am passionate. I was a terror. You were going to get it right. You were going to win. You're going to be the best you can be. That was my mission.
There you go.
I love it. And Ken always says I'm no nonsense, and you're the same way. So I love it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Hey, partner.
Girl power.
All right. Okay, let's wrap it up because Facebook has kicked us off. But the podcast is still recording. So, well, thank you again. We'll have you on again soon. Keep us in the loop on stuff, so we, so we know. Keep us in the loop.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks
best
again.
Wishes on your guys' ventures.
Yes, best wishes.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks again.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, you guys liked that. That was a lot of fun. Did you get everything answered that you wanted answered?
I did. It was awesome.
I think we
so
got
excited.
pretty much. It went. I thought we'd be done in 35 minutes.
Oh yeah, right.
That didn't happen, but that's okay. It's not uncommon for these interviews, so I hope you guys liked it. I hope it helped. Again, obviously you heard we'll bring them on again, and we'll do more. So Anyway, all right. Okay, we'll let you guys go. We'll get going, and we'll see you again next week for episode 112. Right, next week Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Podcast comes up tomorrow morning.